will have the recording available. These slides also will be available at the end. So if you are taking notes today, feel free to know that that will be accessible at the end of this session. Alrighty, so my name is Jacob Selecki. I know that I have done at least one training with all the offices before. I am on the Technology Solutions Consulting team here at RE/MAX headquarters. Basically, my role is that I get the opportunity to work with your different brokerages around the country, and I work specifically with about 15 different offices. And so my whole goal is to try to help implement the technology and get some more engagement and adoption as well. So as I said, what we're going to be talking about today is the first app by RE/MAX. This is a RE/MAX owned application that was acquired. I'm going to go ahead and mute all of us here. All righty. So our main agenda and goals for today is understanding, number one, why FIRST was developed and how it can help you. Again, this was an application that was acquired. We acquired this company a couple years ago. And so our goal is to hopefully help you understand how can this be helpful for your business and what maybe you don't know about it already. Number two, I want to discover how to access and start utilizing FIRST. We'll talk all about that today and how you can get started with it. And then we're going to spend a majority of the time talking about 5 best practices when utilizing FIRST. Before we go into the how behind it, of really what you can be doing when you start utilizing this application, what I want to take you back with is, why did RE/MAX even acquire this program, this application for you? Why is it now a RE/MAX exclusive app, and how can it really help you out? Well, the why behind it is this, according to FIRST data that we have received, we hear that about agents miss about 2/3 of listings among in your personal network. So think about that for just a minute. A couple of you might be thinking here, I'm not missing people in my personal network, right? There's no way. Everyone says after they're done working with me that they would use me again. And they probably do say that. There's no doubt in my mind that they actually do say that and feel that way. Reality sinks in, though, is that they may forget, let's say 2 to 5 years from now, that you're a real estate agent if you're not keeping in touch with them, right? If you don't have that personal relationship with them, it's hard for you to always make sure that you're going to stay consistent in winning the deals that you have. And that goes to really looking at your sphere of influence in your past clients. That's what we're going to look at with this application. For the most part, is this is going to help you with the existing people you have some type of a relationship with. So let's talk a little bit deeper into that. And because this application is all about helping you stay in touch with people you already have some type of relationship with, okay, that's great. So is this just a follow-up tool? Is that all this is? Well, I can use my CRM for that, right? Well, no, this application actually is much more powerful than just that. This application will help you increase the odds of taking a listing too. And really making sure that you have the likelihood to talk to sellers up to 3 times more. Because what FIRST does, it helps identify the likely sellers in your existing network. So as I said, those people you already know, that whether you call that your sphere of influence, your database, whatever it might be, this application, as you upload your different contacts, which we'll get in more detail about, is going to start giving you information to tell you this person is a likely seller. We'll talk through a little bit more, but this has the power and the AI to really give you that information and tell you these are the people you should be connecting with and staying in relationship with, right? We understand that you might have a huge database, or you might have a lot of contacts in your phone, and it's hard to stay in relationship and continually connect with people. So that's what FIRST is going to help you do. So that kind of gives some information of like, okay, so that's how this really works, right? It's going to identify the likely sellers. It's really going to help me with my follow-up. So yeah, those are some pretty great things, but how do I know it actually works? Well, Remax agents who are actually utilizing this application are 50% more productive than those who don't. This is a Remax exclusive application. No one else has this right now. We have all the proprietary access to it. And so this data that I'm providing to you is real. We are able to gather that and we have the stats. So if it was a negative thing, we would share it, but it's a positive thing that we're actually seeing the agents who are more productive are actually utilizing first too. So it does give us some correlation that we can see, okay, if we start utilizing an application like this, that's going to focus on my existing database, my sphere of influence, this will actually help me out to start getting more productivity, which is really what matters, right? This is a business conversation. I'm not just trying to preach technology here, right? This is really going to help you out in staying in touch with people that you already know and really making sure you have a follow-up system in place. So let's go into a little bit more details. There's the big why behind it. I kind of touched a little bit of what this is, but as you kind of heard me say, this is a mobile application, right? So this is solely on your phone, whether you have an Android, Apple, whatever type of phone you have, this is available in your app store. And so this mobile application, as I said, is going to help you really win more business by identifying those likely people who are going to sell in your existing network. So it's really going to take those people that you already have some type of relationship with and say, here's the people that you need to focus on first. And here's how you can engage with them consistently. What I mean by that is making sure that you log a call. Well, First does a lot of that for you. And then making sure you set up next steps. We have the intentions of doing a really good follow-up system and a really good lead generation, but we don't always know the how to do it and we don't always have the right tools. First is going to be a great tool to help you engage with the right people. So I'm going to play a short video here. I'm actually going to stop my screen share and go do one thing here. Okay, I'm going to play a short video that's kind of give you some more details on that and just a quick overview of First.
For every contact in your sphere, do you really know who's getting ready to sell? First improves those odds of a successful prospecting call from 1 in 20 to 1 in 7.
Hello?
How? First ranks your contacts by who is more likely to sell in the near future. Then, friendly coaching prompts help you take action. Spend a few minutes a day connecting or reconnecting. Discover deals you would have missed. And reconnect with people who haven't heard from you in a while. Just as they are likely to need you the most. There are no cold calls, no low-quality internet leads, and no impersonal mass communications. Focus your outreach, strengthen your relationships, and win more business with the people you already know. Because you are able to connect with them first.
Personally, I love that last part that always says own your sphere. I always love talking about that because that's what this is really all about. Is the most productive and even profitable way to truly get business is talking to the people you have an existing relationship with. And I'll probably say too, it probably feels a lot better on your part instead of having to do those cold calls that we are all aware of that are probably extremely painful for you. Now, if you're someone who enjoys that, awesome. I have nothing against that at all. But I know for myself, at least, it's always a lot better to call someone that I'm working with that I already have an existing relationship versus a new client too. So we have an idea of generally what First is, right? Identifying those people in our sphere of influence, in our contacts that really are those likely sellers. So that gets me to think here, and maybe a lot of you are on here saying, I already have a CRM that does that. Why would I utilize this application? Well, let's talk about that. first does something different than what a CRM does. Let's talk about a CRM first. A CRM is going to gather all your contacts and your leads, and it's going to have a big funnel. What do I mean by that? I mean that it's going to make sure that you have different conversations with a lot of people, right? So we think about sending out drip campaigns or maybe a newsletter out to your CRM, right? It's very difficult sometimes to have a lot of existing relationships there. It just might be, here's my full database that's going to include a lot of different people inside of here, right? Your goal with that database is to establish new relationships, right? You may still have your family and friends in your CRM, and that's absolutely fair. But your goal is to connect with leads or other people that you have met, but you haven't really had a new relationship with. Where first is a little bit different. It's a much smaller funnel. You're having individual conversations. This is not going to be a place where you're sending out mass communication emails to. These are individual conversations that is going to build on existing relationships with. Now, those could be relationships that were in the past or with clients, friends and family, whatever it might be, but this is hopefully not cold calls, right? These are people that you have some type of relationship with, and that's exactly how this is built for you as well. So as we see that, as that's kind of leads us into what more of first is about when it comes to the goal of it. It's helping you to achieve a stronger relationship with people that you already know, making sure you're consistent with your communication to these people, because of course we hate to see, whether it be your neighbors or your friends and family, close a deal with a different real estate agent. First is going to make sure you stay on top of that. So hopefully this is going to help you close more deals with less effort by giving you the communication tools you need, as well as the machine learning. Whenever I mention machine learning or, star rating or identifying those likely sellers, that's really where this is a powerful tool that other companies do not have and people are not utilizing. And I'll go into more details about what that really means here in just a minute. But this is going to be an app that's truly going to put the power in your hands with those existing relationships you have. And of course, trying to identify those likely sellers. I always say that in my years of working with a few different brokerages, the more and more I see agents who have listings or who are trying to obtain those sellers, they have more opportunities for business there, right? You can have open houses, you just have a lot of different opportunities when it comes to identifying likely sellers. So we've already mentioned a couple of the benefits, and you've probably heard me talk about them already, but let's really lay them out here. There are a lot of different benefits of first, but here's 4 main ones that I want you to really take away with today. Number 1 is you're going to build a stronger database, right? An existing relationship and contacts with people. These are ones that you're not going to have cold calls or fake information on or anything like that. Remember, that sometimes could be our CRM. But what's great about that is not only is it people that you already have some type of relationship with, but it's going to identify these people with a 3-star rating to say these are likely sellers that you should be connecting with. And that goes to my second point here, is this is going to find your most likely sellers. First uses about 700 plus data points that really draws on public information to find the sellers in your existing database, in those existing relationship, which hopefully leads us to uncover more deals and transactions that you can connect with. And then that's going to lead us to, because you have this information, this is going to save you time. So if you're a person that is extremely passionate, or you know that you need to be doing lead generation, why not use an application like this that's going to help you identify the right people that you already have in a relationship with? That it's a lot more comfortable for you to call someone versus a lead that you got through, whether it be your CRM, website, whatever it might be. And then lastly, one of the key things here that I never want to shy away from, but I know that is very hard to do sometimes, is this is going to help improve your follow-up system. It's really going to streamline all your efforts of having to, let's say, maybe take some notes on your phone if you're meeting with someone, and then put in your CRM later. This is going to literally prompt you to do everything. So you want to make a phone call or you have an appointment, open up your first application, and you're going to be able to log that call, log that connection, write some notes on that. And then it's going to prompt you to set up a next step, meaning what's my follow-up activity? Am I calling them a week from now? Do I have a meeting with them? It's going to then remind you of what you need to be doing too through push notifications. Because again, this is all on your mobile application. So, okay, we kind of get to this point of here's the why, the what, and I'm going to give you some, best practices here in a couple of minutes too. But if you have not utilized the first application at all yet, I want to prompt you here to take a minute and visit www.first.io, or you can text the word REMAX to 919-372-0123. This is going to give you a link to sign up on your device, okay? The key thing here is I do want to make sure to say here, you have a 60-day free trial that we give you to see if this first application is going to work best for your business. Afterwards, it does have a cost to it, and that is $465 per year. I'll say right here, I am not a salesperson, right? My goal and my job is to get you to understand what our technology at Remax does. And as I said, First is a Remax owned application. So if you have not done the trial yet for First at all, I more than encourage you to take the time and see, hey, is this application going to be the best tool for my business? I think as you see on the how and really the best practices of utilizing this could be a really powerful tool for your business. So as I said before, I'm going to move on into our best practices here. But if you have not engaged with the trial, I'm going to give you a heads up. Go to first.io or text that number for Remax, and that'll prompt you to sign up for the application. It'll give you that 60-day free trial. And I will say here, afterwards, it will give you a notification to tell you when to cancel that as well. So just giving a heads up on that. And then let's get into our best practices now. So as I said, this application has a lot of key things that isn't just identifying our likely sellers, right? It's doing much more than that too. And so what we're going to talk through is these 5 best practices with First. If you're really going to utilize your trial, or if you actually are paying for this application, I want to make sure that you're getting the most out of it, because there's a lot it can do. But if you're not utilizing it, and that's with any technology that we have, right, it's not going to work best for your business because we don't know how we should be utilizing it. So let's talk about number 1. When you download your application, you need to learn how to choose the right people to contact. There's gonna be a few different ways that we're gonna talk about that. Number 2, organization. With any type of, again, we see CRMs or applications, how can we best connect with people that are the right people to connect with? And we'll talk about that. Number 3, there might be some people inside of First that you haven't talked to in a while. So how do we, since we have a star rating for them and we know that they could be a likely seller, like how do we make sure that we are connecting with them wisely? Well, we're going to talk about breaking the ice and making the connections with people. Then we're going to talk about being consistent with your follow-up. And I cannot say enough how important that is. That is really where this application, I actually see a lot of the power and the strength in that part of it. And lastly, we'll talk about how you can start integrating this into your daily workflows. So number 1, choosing the right people. If you go away from today, and as I said, you start the trial, you want to see if this is a good tool for your business. One of the first things First is going to have you do after you sign up is get your contacts into the application. As you're signing up for the First application, the first thing it's going to do is ask you to sync your contacts from your phone. Now, the cool thing about this is when you sync your contacts from your phone, it's going to automatically gather as much information about these contacts as possible, whether that's being through what you already have provided on your phone, or First does, like I said, it has that machine learning. So it's going to try to gather as much data as possible about these contacts, and it's going to assign the star rating. And again, I'm going to keep mentioning that because I just want to say that's really where I see a lot of power in this tool. Now, it not only gathers your contacts from your phone, but you can also add contacts from a CSV file. you're going to see over here there we got a quick link for you that once you sign up for First and you go to Mac Center and you click on the first tile, it will allow you to kind of go into your own login and you can upload your own CSV file. So if you have a really strong database that has existing people inside your network, and again, I want to be very specific here that I would encourage, yes, export those contacts from Booz or if it's from a different CRM into First. But I want to be careful and make sure to say here, make sure those people are ones that you have an existing relationship with. Otherwise, this isn't going to work the best for you. You need to make sure that you have some type of relationship with them because that's really going to be where the power in this comes, right? And lastly, of course, you can manually add contacts, and these are individual contacts at any time. So think about that, you're at a coffee shop, you meet someone new, they find out you're a real estate agent and you have a real estate conversation. Add them to First right away. See if they're a likely seller, because guess what? Every single time you add new contacts, it's going to consistently update the star rating system that we're talking about. So I already talked a little bit about what are some best practices when adding some contacts. I already encourage, don't just add every single contact that you have. Don't take those leads that you're getting from your CRM and putting them into First. And you might be asking, why would I not want to do that? Well, because this is a relationship-based application, right? Which is how your real estate business should be anyways, is that you should be adding individuals that you already have a relationship with. And you want to make sure you have some contact information that's up to date. Sometimes we get some fake info from leads, or we're not getting as much information as we need. And First does try to gather as much information as possible when you put in contacts. So such as property address, obviously name, and maybe even some key details too, but it's not going to be able to gather everything. So as much information as you put into it, meaning that's on your phone, that's on a CSV that you're uploading or that you're individually adding, the better this application is going to work for you. But again, staying consistent and knowing that this is a relationship-based application is extremely important, right? Our goal is to make sure to get you away from cold calls and able to see, okay, these are people that I have some type of relationship with, and I want to be able to call or text or email directly from the application. Another thing to keep in mind here is when you do sync your contacts, or you bring your contacts over, the application will work on its own to try to remove any duplicates as well as other agents. Something to keep in mind when you do sync your contacts on your phone is I'm sure you have real estate agents inside of your application or inside of your phone, right? That's probably a real thing. Well, First, we'll try to identify those as real estate agents, but inside the contact record, if it did not do that, you can always toggle someone as being a real estate agent, so that way they don't show up in your daily recommendations. So these are easy and quick recommendations to keep in mind when you're connecting with your contacts or adding your contacts. Now, I've mentioned the star rating system a few different times, and this is really a key aspect of the First application. When you bring your contacts over, what is going to happen is, as I said, there's about 700 plus data points that First uses. And if you're wondering, okay, what are those data points that I'm talking about? That's like public information. So that could be even from social media sites, that could be from public records, anything like that, that would try to assign someone a 0 to 3 star rating. So what does 3 stars mean? What does 1, 2, and 3 star mean? 3-star rating, if a 3 star is assigned, that is people who you definitely want to be connecting with as soon as possible. They're most likely to sell in the next 6 to 12 months. Basically, that data is telling you is we've gathered enough information that shows that this person could be a likely seller, or that they might know someone who is likely to sell. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so I shouldn't contact the 2 or 1 stars. Not true at all. You should still contact anyone who has a star rating, but of course we want to look at the 3 stars or who we want to start off with. Just by having a star rating itself, you'll see that the 3 star is like 98% they're likely to sell. The 2 star goes down to about, I think it's anywhere between 89 to 92%. And then if I go down to even 1 star, they're looking at 80%. So even if there's a 1 star rating, there's enough information that First was able to gather and assign to a contact saying that they are still someone you should be connecting with. So that's an amazing aspect of this application. We're already seeing that, yes, oh, there's tools out there for me to log calls, follow up with people, and that's cool. Like, we know we should be doing that. We know all these coaching programs are teaching that, but what they aren't doing is giving you the machine learning and helping you with a lot of the different aspects of connecting with these people. So as I said, when you bring over these contacts, you're going to see star ratings come over. You're actually going to see it from my phone. I actually have the First application too. And I just synced my contacts. I'm not a real estate agent, but I just wanted to see, what is that going to happen for me? Who are going to be the 3-star ratings too? So once we have our star ratings, and we have some opportunities to say, okay, my contacts are in, I'm ready to start connecting with people. We've said a few times already, okay, this application is going to help me to tell me who I should be connecting with, and it's going to identify those likely sellers. What ways is it going to do that and organize that for me? A couple of different ways. The first one is on your home screen, you're going to see something that says recommendations. It's going to be one of the first things you'll see on the daily basis. These are daily reminders of people who you should be connecting with and how you should do it. Again, this is a recommendation, so you can always skip those people. You don't have to connect with them, but this application is pretty much saying, hey, you haven't contacted them in X amount of time, or you have a next step coming up, which could mean you have a meeting with them. Make sure to log that after you have that, or a call with them too. So that is really powerful when we think of, hey, I have a full list of a database, but I have no idea how to reach out to them. Recommendations is going to be an extremely powerful tool to identify a system for your process, for your business processes too. So if you don't have that right now, this is something I think that could be extremely helpful. And then the other aspect too is we do have a section called opportunities. Opportunities is going to take a full list of all of the contacts that you have, and it's going to show you those likely sellers. So at first it's going to identify all the 3 stars. Then as you scroll down, you'll see the 2, 1, and 0 stars. So one of the great parts of that is that's on your home screen too, which I'll toggle to in just a second here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my phone right now. So give me 1 second. May have to grab a quick cable. Usually I can just AirPlay it from my phone, but it seems that might not be working today. So I'm so sorry. Give me all 1 second. I'll be right back to grab a quick cord. Sorry about that, everyone. I had some difficulties getting via AirPlay, but should see my phone. And that is giving me issues. Give me 1 second here. All right, everyone, I'm so sorry about this, but for some reason I'm having some issues connecting to my phone. I was working a little bit earlier. So I'm gonna keep moving on here and take us through our slides. I will say if, what you can do is, I apologize for not being able to live drive into my phone today, but I would recommend, and I'll say this at the end as well, that if you do have any questions or anything that I'm showing you today will all be accessible inside your phone, as well as on Remax University on the how to do it. I'm going to keep moving forward here though and take us through our slides to continue with our training. Again, I apologize for not being able to share my phone screen. So let me keep moving forward. So as we talked about connecting with our contacts and who to connect with, the next thing that we want to keep in mind is, as I said, on your home screen, what you'll see right away is we have those recommendations, those opportunities, but the next thing we want to look at is how do we organize them to make sure you have the right amount of outreach too. And so we're going to talk about how you can leverage different types of groups. I talked about one of those groups on your home screen is going to show the different opportunities. Those opportunities are going to include people that are going to be those star rating people, right? But what if you want to take your contacts and really effectively organize everything to the best abilities? Well, there are different groups that you can utilize inside of First. So once you download this and you put in all your contacts, one of the things that you'll see on your home screen is the groups. Now there are default groups, which are going to include the inflow and hot lists. The nice thing about those two groups is the inflow lists are going to be people that maybe you should be connecting with sometime soon, but maybe not immediately. Where the hot list is people who you are actively working with. And so what you need to do is you can put contacts in there at any time to organize them in those specific groups. What's great about those is those default groups will help you to set next steps as well. You also have the opportunity to create your own type of groups to organize your contacts in any way that you find the most relevant as well. So think about this. If you have let's say your neighborhood or maybe any of your kids' schools too, you may want to add the contacts or create a group that's going to have everyone in your neighborhood and take all the contacts and put them inside of your neighborhood group. Think about how important that really could be, that you're connecting with people around you. And that way you're not seeing all these different, we never want to see someone else's yard sign when it's your own specific neighborhood. Something I always think about to help you out. As I said too, another way that, excuse me, another way that we can keep ourselves organized and really ensure that you're talking to the right people inside of First is to view your opportunities list. So as I said, on your home screen, you're going to see a section that says opportunities. This opportunities section is going to give you a way to see who you can be reaching out to based off of their star rating. So as I said, especially when you're doing the trial and utilizing that, that would be a great opportunity for you to look at, hey, I see all these 3-star rating people who I know I haven't reached out to in a long time. That's going to give you an opportunity to start saying and identifying, let's go with the people who are likely to sell right off the bat. And this is also going to give you an idea of, as we scroll down, that there are going to be people who are still 2 or 1 stars, but that should be people we're still connecting with. As I said, this is really where the big power comes in of identifying those likely sellers for you to be connecting with. And lastly, this is going to help you, of course, organize by having you build a better database. So by identifying, first is going to do a lot of the work for you, as I said before. It's going to try to gather as much information, such as identifying your property address, social media profiles, eliminating those duplicates, and filtering out those real estate agents. It will try to do as much as that as possible for you, but you may need to do that sometimes yourself. So for example, you're bringing in your phone contact information. If you don't have some of this data, like the property address, it will of course try to find it. But if it cannot find it, then it will, you will want to add that yourself. I will say the property address is something that I've seen that even people I know I don't have their current address from, first is able to identify that and put that in there for you too. Okay. Before I go over, I'm going to try one more time and see if I can share my phone screen. I'd really want to make sure to see I can show you what we're doing here. So let me try this one more time. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to keep moving on. All right, apparently I'm still experiencing issues and having my technical difficulties today. So I'm going to move on to our next section. As we talk about building a better database here, and we talk about organization, that is important, but we want to now talk about how do you actually connect with people on your first application. So we're going to talk about breaking the ice and making the connection. Mostly what I want you to take away from here is really the reality that inside this application, when you click on a contact record, you have the ability to call, text them, email, and connect via social media. And the great part about the first application is as you're doing that inside of the application itself, it is going to help you log that information that you've made that connection and set up follow-up steps. So as I said before, right, you have the ability to connect and communicate directly from your phone application. So let's talk about calling and texting at first. Calling and texting directly from the contact record is going to literally use your phone to do so. So that means that every single time you click on call or text, it's going to come directly from your phone. So that's a great thing of, as I said, this is more individualized, those individual relationships that you're going to have. So it's going to call directly from your phone. So that means when I come back to the first application or you're done with the phone call, the application is going to ask you then, hey, did you connect with this person? And that's where the logging of the connection happens. If you did, for calls and texts, it'll immediately log that for you. For email, social media, or even appointments that you have, you'll have to actually go in and log that yourself. But that's the great part, is it comes directly from your phone immediately. Now, okay, that's great. We know that this application is all about existing relationships and talking to people who we already have some type of connection with. But that still comes in that we may not have talked to them in a very long time. So how am I supposed to have a conversation with them? First is telling me, okay, I have a 3-star next to someone, haven't talked to them in a couple of years. What should I say to them? Well, we have a couple of options here and just some advice for you to just kind of see how you should be connecting with them. So something to keep in mind here is you want to be honest, be direct, and engage with them. right? So be honest of saying, I'm calling because I came across your name when I was doing some work on my database, and I remember how much I enjoyed meeting you at wherever it was, right? Or if it's someone you really know and you say, and your friends and family say, hey, I'm actually using this new application and it identified you as a likely seller. Do you know why that might be? I've had a few different offices and agents tell me that that's what they did. And they actually said, yeah, my daughter was looking for a new home and we don't have an agent yet. And that provided a referral right there. So it may not be exactly that they are looking for a home today, but it is going to provide people who may have referrals with that. So be honest about it, especially if it's people who you do know. If it's people who you don't, like I said, just say something, hey, I'm coming across you in my database, or we haven't talked in a while. I really enjoyed meeting you. But then you have to be direct with them too. And this is where you have to say, hey, one of my goals this year is to be more intentional about spending time with people I've enjoyed meeting with in the past. And you're one of them. I'd love to catch up soon, right? This doesn't necessarily have to be, hey, would you like to buy or sell and invest in real estate? It doesn't have to be that conversation on your first phone call. But it should be that we have those consistent relationships, that we have those certain touch points. This is a great opportunity and a great time of year to do so as well. And then lastly, we want to make sure to engage with them, right? So maybe if it did prompt a real estate conversation, or even if it didn't, hey, do we have time to meet up for lunch or coffee soon? I'd love to talk to you. Exactly having that existing relationship with, especially if these are your past clients, just, asking, hey, how's the home been? Like it's been a long time. And then you do have the opportunity at the end to say, hey, do you have anyone that's looking to buy or sell? So this really comes down to, again, be honest, be direct, and engage with people that you're talking to. Now, that's more of like our phone conversations, right? That's people that we're maybe on the phone with and talking to there. But we might have some other opportunities where we might be talking to people who are not necessarily via your phone. It may be that you want to text them, right? And so I showed the other option that you do have the option to call, text, email, or connect via social media. Well, inside the texting options, we also have some helpful tools via texting templates. These texting templates are hopefully going to help you not only streamline your communication with people, but it's going to provide you some leverage by giving you some prompts. So these texting prompts hopefully are going to have 4 different options that are going to help you in knowing how to start that conversation. So I'll say myself that if I receive a call from someone I don't know, but I receive a text, I'm more inclined to look at my text messages. And a lot of people tend to be that way nowadays, right? And so you may say, I'm gonna feel a little more comfortable just texting them just to see if I can maybe get out, schedule a call with them. Perfect, do that. And so right below the contact record where it says call, text, email, social media, you're gonna see a section that says not sure what to say. And this is where it's going to give you an option to select between those 4 different texting templates. The great thing about this is when you click on send text from template, you can customize that to say whatever you want. So you may have, oh, this is giving me a really good idea. I need to phrase something like this, or I need to, maybe say like, oh, I don't want to ask them necessarily about real estate. So I'm going to just ask about maybe their kids or something like that. It's going to give you the option to look at a template and say, here's how I'm going to get started with this conversation. So use those texting templates and start making those connections via call, text. And as I said too, you do have the option for email or connecting via social media too. Now, once we actually connect with the person, as I said before, yes, star rating is great. Of course, we want to be connecting with people, have those recommendations to do so. But the power comes in is when we log everything that happens and we reconnect with them to set up our follow-up steps. So let's talk about the logging everything first. So inside of first, when you do call or text, you probably just heard me say, the nice thing is immediately after you are done with that phone call or you're done texting them and you go into your first application, it's going to prompt you to ask you, did you make that connection with them? If you say, yes, I made that connection with them, it will automatically log that connection for you. So you don't really have to do anything. You can put in notes if you want, but it's already going to do that for you. It's going to put the date, time, and that you had that phone call or text message to in the first app. Now, you do also have the option to manually log any connections. These are more for via emails, social media, or in person. I still recommend doing that because that's again where this power comes in. You have all the information, you have all the data that what you've done with your past client, or again, if this is a new client, whatever it might be, this is going to have more accurate information. You're going to know what you talked about. So when maybe you catch up with them a couple weeks from now, you have all that information there. So again, this is building on the basis of having stronger relationships within your database, within the people you already know. So as you can see on your screen, it's going to literally allow you to select which kind of interaction you've had, when you had that, and add a description and notes too. Along with that, once you're done logging a connection, one of the awesome things that you're going to see next is that it's going to prompt you to set up follow-up steps, which we're going to call those next steps inside the system. So on your home screen, you're always going to see a section that's going to say set up next steps. These next steps are going to allow you to ensure that you have your follow-up set up immediately, right when you're done connecting with someone, and it's going to prompt you when that is going to happen. So when you need to get that done, it's going to send you a push notification. It's also going to show on your home screen too. And you can set those next steps up for any time frame that you want. If that's a day from now, a week from now, whatever you need. So if that's you're on a phone call and you say, hey, let's set up a coffee, and they say, yeah, let's connect next week to make that happen. You want to make sure that you go back into the application and set up a next step to follow up with them to set up that coffee appointment. Or let's say you go on that coffee appointment and they say, you somehow bring up real estate and they say, hey, I'm not looking to buy or sell, but I actually know someone who is. And so, why don't you call me next week? I'm going to connect with them and make sure it's okay that I share your information. But why don't you connect with me next week and we'll make sure that you can get their information. Okay, well, you need to set up a next step to ensure that does that too. I know a lot of real estate agents, and there are friends that I have who are looking to buy or sell, right? And so because of that, it's like I want to make sure that my agent is connecting back with me, so that way I can give that information out too. So setting up next steps again is really powerful. That we make our connection, we log that connection, and then we set those next steps up afterwards. After we are done setting up those next steps, we talk about making sure that we have our follow-up and our outreach too. It's not enough just to be connecting with them, but as we talked about, we want to log that and make sure we're setting up those next steps. Well, one of the things that the system has, we already talked about how logging and next steps works, but what's great about this system is it does have some accountability for you. Meaning that we do have the opportunity to set up some weekly goals within the application to allow you to see these are the amount of people that you want to be connecting with. As I said before, what's great about the system is that it does every single time you log this connection, it tracks that information. But if you're someone who really wants to have a powerful system that's going to be working for you and helping you out, then you're going to want to make sure to set up a strong goal for yourself. If you're really going to use this application, especially if you're going to utilize these first 60 days of a trial, set up a goal for yourself to say, I want to connect with 15 people a week. And that's all you need to do is grab your phone on the go, connect with maybe 5 people, text a couple of people, maybe make a couple of phone calls, and do that on a weekly basis and see what starts to happen from there. Because as I said, this is going to automatically track some of your progress. So that way you can keep reaching that goal and making more connections. I want to make sure to say this as much as I can here is we know when you may start making these phone calls or you start texting people or emailing, however you're making these connections, right? You may not get a response right away. Studies have shown that it takes at least 6 contact attempts to actually get someone to respond to you. And you may have already experienced this. If you're someone who, again, is doing cold calls, you're probably experiencing that right now as well. And so what I have to say is keep trying. Be patient and make those connections and be persistent. The fact that you're using an application like this, the fact that we know that a lot of the different coaching tools that are out there are telling you to connect with people inside of your database is telling you that it's absolutely worthy or worth you doing that, right? To make sure that you have, a very profitable business work off the people you already know. And again, I have to go back to this application is helping you identify some key pieces of information, especially the idea of that this could be a likely seller. So as you continue to keep utilizing this application, be consistent with your connections and make sure to have good content when you're talking to people. As I said, make sure that you are the trusted real estate agent about your local market, right? So it doesn't even have to be that you're always talking about real estate, meaning, hey, are you looking to buy or sell today? What you could be doing is, hey, do you know what's going on in the market that really could impact you? Start turning it around and providing good content, great conversations with the right people, because then they're going to want to pick up the phone and talk to you or text you or just have those appointments as well. So lastly, as we look into wrapping up our session here today, I want to make sure that we stay consistent with this. The most I hear about with first is I download the application, I did the free trial, or I have the application, I don't really know how to be using it. It's because we're not really using it in our daily and weekly schedules. The great thing about this application is you really just need a couple minutes a day to be using this. And so as I said, don't spend an hour or 2 hours at a time just on your phone looking at how you should be using the application, right? Or, connecting with people. Spend 5 to 10 minute increments connecting with people. And to be honest, if you're doing the logging of connections as well as setting up next steps, that 5 to 10 minutes of just reaching out to people is going to fill up probably that whole hour of lead generation that you might have. Also, make sure that you're doing one task at a time, like reaching out to a contact. Then after you're done reaching out to them, make sure that call is logged, and then make sure you set up your next step, making it one whole task and making sure you have that powerful follow-up tool. That's really where you're going to see the return on this. I always say that, yes, I know we hear, oh, there's a dollar value to this after the free trial. Yes, there is a cost to it. I know that. But think about if you get one transaction out of this, right? It probably makes it worth it for a couple of years, maybe even longer than that, depending what the transaction is. So break open the app, definitely try the free trial and start utilizing this and seeing how this is going to work for you. You're going to be able to see how successful this truly is for you too. When on your home screen, there's going to be a section on the bottom that's going to say personal network efficiency. When you link your MLS to this system, what you're going to see is an option for you to see your listing potential in your network and track how successful you are versus different opportunities that you have missed as well. So that's something that you want to keep in mind, is you can actually start to see which deals you have won and which deals you have missed. I see a lot of people who end up not using the first application to all this capabilities, look at that and are frustrated. Oh, I missed these amount of deals. Yeah, that's exactly one of why we want to be utilizing this as much as possible too. And really, to wrap this up as much as I can, if you're going to do one thing with this application, do not focus on organization, but focus on outreach. Meaning, use the opportunity section, look at the star ratings inside of your database and start calling or texting people. That's really where you're going to see the most success with this, and definitely that first 60 days. Or if you're someone who already has this today, but maybe you just don't know how to use it as much as possible, start with those easy wins by reaching out to people and then organize as you go. As I said, if you want to start creating custom groups, if you want to, look at the opportunity section or all of that, right? You have those opportunities like we talked about, but start with the outreach itself. And as I said before, we talked about this at the beginning. If you haven't done so already, that's okay. But you have, you can start with First IO on the first tile on Mac Center, or you can text the number that we talked about. And like I said, 60-day free trial and then $465 a year after the trial too. So please definitely, at least try it out. this is a powerful tool that I really do believe in. As yes, I work for Remax headquarters and I train on this, but I truly think that this is a powerful tool for your real estate business. Now, if you are experiencing any issues or have any big questions, please contact product support. It is definitely always worthwhile making sure that you identify that issue and making sure it gets taken care of too. Fastest way to do so, if you go to the support services tile on Mac Center, you can chat with the representative there. You can also call or text the number that you see on your screen, or you can email product support at remax.net and someone will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And that's all I've got for you. I got us right at time here. We do have access to these slides, and I will make sure that your office has access to this too. So if you don't end up grabbing a screenshot, that's okay. I'll make sure that they send this out to you as well as with our recording. And again, I do want to apologize. I am so sorry that we were not able to live drive into the application itself. I love doing so. I think that's always really powerful, but thank you so much for sticking with me anyways. Any questions that we have, feel free to either unmute in the chat. Otherwise, I will let you all go. All right, doesn't seem like we have any questions, so I'm going to stop sharing and end our meeting. Thank you all again so much, and have a great rest of your day today.